Welcome to the Frequency After Show. Tonight we're talking Season 1, Episode 4 with some juicy details on the Nightingale Killer. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's not turning out the way we wanted it to.
No, I wanted to give him the solo.
I swear this is true.
Here it goes.
Okay. Okay, I'm cutting y'all off. What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome to the Frequency After Show. This isn't typically our vibe, but I just, we gotta give them
chaos.
a
Hey man, we had
chaos.
we had to kick it up a little bit.
It's all good,
It's
I
a
think.
heavy show, so let's at least open up with a little light
With a
fluff fun.
positive note.
There
Thank you
you
for
go.
that. I'm your lead host, Olivia Gabaree. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @thereal_O_G.
What's up, guys? I'm Gabriel Gonzalez. You can find me on Twitter at Double G on TV.
And I'm Chaos J, KAAOSJ. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram. It's Chaos_Oceans31. Why? Because your boy's so wavy.
Ooh, Ocean's 31, that's better than Ocean's 13.
And, oh, of course, because there's
Like
more.
31, yeah.
Hey, you got 31
So much-
flavors of
so much
waviness
more
coming right at you.
Right? I'm Chris Howard. You can find me at Chris Howard Live on both Twitter as well as Instagram.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Alright.
I'm so glad that you and Chris
I
weren't
know, we
taken
have
by
a
the
full
Nightingale.
panel.
I was worried last week
Is that what
for
you
a
said? We
minute.
were taken by the Nightingale?
I mean, I was like,
He's glad you weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
we
would have
were-
been a good way to open the episode.
Right.
Right,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
our hosts have been.
We'll get on the
Or
ham and
taken
talk
by-
to
I was the
somebody to find
Nightingale
him.
and you were the victim. Or she was the Nightingale and I was the victim.
Plot twist.
Right?
Shift.
Shift.
I
So,
totally think Olivia could take down Chris Howard.
I think she had me tied up with rosaries.
oh. All right.
See, but
moving
I liked
on.
it.
She's
That
like,
was the
wait,
problem.
what's going on now?
Okay.
Like, I'm doing what
Where
now?
did
Just wandered off the subject.
Yes.
There we go.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephen, for
Yes.
that.
No,
So
Stephen's on
we
it.
open up the episode tonight being introduced to a new character, and this character is a child, which is kind of it's not bizarre in this situation. I mean, we always had like Raimi's child version, but this is the first time that we actually depended on a child for
Right.
information, like on the Nightingale
Like
Killer.
as a witness.
As a
Yeah.
witness. And obviously things can get a little sticky when you're depending on a small child, not only because it could be unreliable, but because she can't make any decisions for herself. Her father's taking over her whole entire, statement.
Exactly.
So what are you guys thinking about Eva? Like, what did you first think about her character when we opened up the show?
Well, I thought personally that, okay, it must be something to do with the dad, because why else would she be being kept quiet about something like that? So I thought, okay, if it's not the dad, then what's the catch? That's what I was kind of waiting for. It was another one. The pacing, I think, felt a little off because we really had to wait till the end of the episode to get the payoff. Like, okay, now it all makes sense.
Right.
But in the middle, it was really confusing, but I like when you look at it as a whole, I liked it how they put it together for us.
Right. They had kept you in suspense. They kind of did make it seem a little bit fishy because she was withholding information, and her father was so uptight and not
And
letting her
overbearing
speak.
and overprotective as well.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird because, like, wouldn't you think, and you said that, wouldn't you think that he'd want her to tell everything if there was information there? His wife was just killed, or they were on the verge of separation, I guess.
Yeah, but why would you think that he didn't want her to speak?
I thought it's like, okay, do you know the
Yeah,
Nightingale?
it was like painting
does
a
the Nightingale
picture.
like
Right.
holding you, like something on you? Like,
Or is
what
it like
is it?
is it one of your friends? Is it like a cousin or a relative? Like, those are all the things for me, at least, that I was thinking. Like, maybe he has some kind of a connection to this person, and granted, his connection may have been with that person and them not doing these things, but even though they're doing these things, he's trying to at least not necessarily protect them, but not necessarily give them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all I kept thinking the entire episode until the reveal.
But at the reveal, he's attempting to protect her, I guess, but I didn't really get that. Like, why would he protect her from a police officer that wants the information? It just really, that was kind of a little bit of a weak spot, probably.
Yeah, I even felt like, okay, he had to have been in on it because present day when adult Raimi talks to them, like he's moved on with his life, he's got a new wife, so I'm like, okay, like what is it? Yeah, and then it's like, but he's still got that, so it's like, what are you covering up? Like, it still wasn't making sense.
I don't think they're going to come back and have him on the episode again, though. I think his
I think
story's
he's done. I think,
really?
I think that was a very contained episode. Yeah, we're gonna have a new set of.
Yeah, because
characters.
her Eva storyline's kind of wrapped up now.
Yeah.
They didn't leave us with room for more.
Maybe they should. Maybe if the dad had acted a little bit more strange, or that part had been really ramped up, where he was desperate to get the information, it might have made it contextualize it, made a little bit more sense. But
yeah, he was kind of just thrown in there for the purpose of making things difficult, I think.
Yeah.
But we definitely see a change of character between past Eva and present Eva, because past Eva didn't, well, it's set up like she didn't really want the attention, and then mature Eva loves the attention and even goes as far as creating this whole entire scenario just for the attention.
Yeah.
And when she disappeared, it was already sort of fishy because this wasn't the first time she disappeared. She disappeared to Thailand. She went to a motel for weeks on end, and then we even find out that she attempted suicide when she was writing her book about the Nightingale killer.
So they were all just screams for attention, and
Exactly.
I guess, like that almost didn't make sense because Raimi has that big line. I wrote it down, that she was trying to get the attention that she had when she was a kid about what happened with her mother. So it didn't make sense because when you see her in that scene and she goes to like that liquor store, it's all the bells and whistles. She's bloody. She looks beat up.
it was
and
exactly
you believe it.
but it was exactly how she was when she was a kid, right in the opening where she's walking in with one shoe. See, I thought it was
true.
fishy when I saw the second one. Like exactly the same as it happened in the
It
beginning.
was set up so perfectly, and it was like very spooky looking. But
Well, I mean, Halloween is on Monday.
That's true.
true. I kind of knew she was up to something as soon as they got to the crime scene and there was a mask seriously just laying there in perfect.
And exactly what she talked about. Oh,
Yeah.
he wore a mask. There's
Everything
a mask.
right. You
Yeah.
know, then the duct tape, and then
Like like a can of food.
It's like too perfectly a
too
set up
perfect.
crime
Right.
scene.
But as soon as I saw the mask, like a light went off for me.
It was if you can let me real quick, it was an orgy of evidence.
An orgy of evidence.
An orgy of evidence.
think
I'm not
that's
trying
our
to. No,
official word?
wait, stop. No. I'm not trying to be sexual with this.
Right.
In Minority Report, if anybody has seen that with Tom Cruise, there's a scene.
what does that mean?
That was like pornographic music or something.
Oh, okay, no. There's a scene where in Minority Report he
That
walks.
wasn't on our end, guys. I don't know.
That wasn't.
That wasn't on my
You
end.
serious?
I'm serious. That was not on my end.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Whoa.
So
what a
it's
trip.
somebody
My
had-
phones are off. Nope, my phones are off.
Must have been
Okay,
an
so
alternate
again,
time.
orgy of evidence where it's almost too much evidence. Like I was saying, in Minority Report, there's a scene where he walks into a room and he's trying to track down a child killer / kidnapper, and he walks in and there's a suitcase and there's just hundreds of pictures of different kids
Right.
all on the bed, and then they're like, and then later on they say it's an orgy of evidence. This is staged.
Yes.
Oh.
And that's what I mean when I say an orgy of evidence. I genuinely was not trying to be
Not
sexual.
the group of people.
Hashtag-
So you're just
evidence
dropping
orgy.
some knowledge on
and
it.
some movie references.
I think he just wanted to have his official word of the week, orgy. So every time he
Yeah,
says it,
but
take a
we're
sip.
not.
but
That's
it's
not
orgy
going to
of
be a
evidence.
thing.
yeah,
It's not
Olivia
evidence.
shutting that down.
That's not a thing.
That's okay.
Okay, so now we have Eva in the what is it called when
Fast?
they're questioning?
Interrogation.
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 room,
Yeah, there you
yeah.
go. That could be the word of the day. Interrogation.
Orgy of
Interrogation.
interrogation.
I'm
So-
good with that.
Eva's in the interrogation, and they obviously know exactly what's up because there's no new fingerprints. Only her fingerprints are there. There's like this brand new mask has not like a speck of hair or like
DNA or
Right
anything.
on
DNA
the
or
rack.
anything. And she came clean pretty quickly.
Well, no, I mean that adult Raimi can be a little scary when she wants
Yeah,
to.
she's
be.
very intimidating. She definitely had an agenda, but you and I automatically we were like, oh, she just
she's
wants to
trying-
promote her book.
Exactly.
Right.
It was just too coincidental. You're writing a book about the Nightingale Killer, you disappear, and then it was the Nightingale Killer. It's like,
Yeah,
come on,
and
give me
it
a break.
seems super weird because the Nightingale Killer hasn't committed a crime in years
Well,
and
he
years
has
and
been
years.
now because when
Yeah,
they
now it's
changed the
timeline.
timeline, he
Who did
started.
he-
He's now started killing more people. So there's been more people that have been killed.
Well, that's true. And I mean, Raimi's mother's body just popped up, so I guess it is kind of like present in the time.
Yeah.
But she just saw it as an open opportunity for
Right,
for a
exactly.
publicity stunt.
And to get some attention.
And to get some attention. And at first I thought she was genuine. Like, I thought she and Raimi were gonna have a really nice friendship because they were friends when they were children.
Right.
They understand what it's like to have their mother like go missing, especially by a serial killer.
Yeah.
And she thinks that their dads were friends, although we saw that they weren't
Right.
exactly friends.
I mean-
And I thought they were gonna have a genuine friendship. But I did see that she kept on explaining the scar on the Nightingale Killer's hand, which would seem kind of weird because wouldn't you assume a serial killer would wear gloves?
Bam. Not only that, but then she when she was able to describe that scar, yet there were no fingerprints. It's like, okay, well, how did you see the scar? Because
Yeah.
you said he wore gloves all the time, which is why there's no
Something would have
fingerprints.
given it away.
But then exactly, it just things didn't line up.
And
Yeah.
even the way she said it, she kind of was like, "Oh, he has a scar," and it's like, "Oh, that you just randomly."
I just
randomly
realized I
remembered
can use that for attention.
Hey,
But then, she says, okay, keep this information private. She goes right on the news and says, hey, he has a scar. And yeah.
And to that point, though, that you were talking about, like with their relationship, she did honestly have her mother taken by Nightingale.
Yeah.
It's just that the case ended up being more about her than her mother. But I agreed. Like
Or
I
she
thought they
used
were
it to
gonna have a
her.
moment.
She used it to her advantage.
Yeah.
Basically,
And I think that adult Raimi acknowledged that at the end. It's like, you know what, she gave us what we need to know. It's done. She's made a mistake. She did, because she at the end of the day was in Raimi's shoes too.
Exactly. And I think I don't think she deserved to be in jail. She obviously has been through a lot and clearly is mentally unstable for many reasons. So yeah, she acted irrationally and acted out for attention, but I don't think she deserves to be like locked up over it necessarily.
Well, I mean,
guys
if we see her
agree?
doing some community service, picking up
Something
trash
like
at
that
Barnes
would
and
be good,
Noble,
actually,
that'd be
I
very
agree,
satisfying.
but we find out that she has to go to therapy instead.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really understanding why she was withholding the information as a child. I would think, I would
You'd think you'd get more attention, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I could see that maybe she was scared and her dad was probably intimidating her by the way he was like being so overprotective.
Oh, but it
I
came
thought it
in.
was
It was to preserve the relationship.
Yeah, I thought it was a combination. So she was there that her mother was taken by Nightingale.
Yeah.
That did happen. But then she knew about the affair that the mother had with the accountant, and that was the information that the dad didn't want out.
Exactly.
And that's why they kept that a
Oh.
secret, because she still didn't see Nightingale himself.
So did the dad know about the affair?
Right,
Yes.
he did, and that's part of the reason why
he was-
he was like,
Okay, so that-
keep your mouth
Yeah.
shut because of the embarrassment that
Yes.
of it getting out that
Okay,
his
I
wife
didn't
was having
even
an
I
pick
affair.
up
didn't get
on
that
that.
either.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I thought,
Knowledge?
yeah, the knowledge drops.
Yeah.
No, because I
We
thought
need
the dad
we need
didn't
that
know.
The more you know, start.
Well, the way she explained it, though, was the dad didn't know, and she was afraid
Yeah.
her dad would find out about the affair.
And she didn't put, she purposely left it out of the book, which means like
Right.
for these whatever, like 20 how many years, whatever
It's
how
been
many
20
years
years
it
since
was.
96.
She has been keeping this to herself, and
Right.
she think like whether the father knows or not, in her head she has this huge piece of information that she hasn't she just never shared, and she didn't even put it in her book.
No, but
Yeah,
I thought she said, okay, well,
She
maybe
did-
I
she said
misremembered.
what?
Do you think really, though, the father would try to shut her up because of the embarrassment of the affair and leave a killer on the street?
I will say this: that was one that
Selfish.
maybe it felt a little too like it. He is the Nightingale killer. He's the guy on TV taking people. Like
Right.
you're really worried about embarrassment. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That one did kind of like, But I guess the way they explained it's like, okay, I'll give this one a pass. It was out there, and like
Well,
I
what
said, it
would
was
you
more of a-
have done if you were in his situation? Your wife was cheating on you, and
If I
that
knew it-
information was about to be revealed in front of the entire country.
You know what? I
if
don't
it's
care. If he's a serial killer, yeah,
go
get
that's
it.
even better.
I would hope
that's
so.
even better.
That's even better.
It's like if I find out it was the Zodiac or someone like we have in real life, it's like, oh, of course I'm gonna.
Well, first off,
like,
not
I'm okay
only
with it.
not
yes.
only am I gonna make sure that the information gets out, but I'm gonna make sure that it's known that you was getting busy with this killer.
Well, no, it wasn't
She
the
wasn't
killer.
getting busy with the killer.
was watching her get
Yes,
busy with the
stalking
accountant.
with the accountant.
Oh,
Yeah, but hold on a second. See, I'm not even
Are
sure.
you trying to say like if you hadn't been cheating
I
on me,
would
this
find
wouldn't have
it
happened
right.
to you?
I would have found some way to publicly shame her, kind of similar to the Scarlet
But she's
Leather.
dead.
We need to reach out
That's
to our
punishment
audience.
enough.
Oh, she's already got killed.
She's dead.
Okay, well
That
then,
was
yeah, maybe
punishment
not.
Guys,
enough.
we need to find out the real story though, because if you guys know different, let us know. Because I truly heard it the other way. I heard it that she was trying to keep it from her father.
No, I've heard that way as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she purposely. So first of all,
Okay, sure.
how weird is it that the mother is taking her daughter to play dates?
Okay.
Well,
I'm
let's
gonna
have
say,
it fair.
I'm gonna say it like it is. In TV world, you've heard of weirder things happening, so that
I mean,
one I
for
actually thought was
sure, but-
believable.
But yeah,
Yeah,
play
yeah,
dates
people are
while
weird, you know.
Yeah.
Poor child.
Like
And-
when she said, like, if you see a TV show and they're like, oh, this is mommy's friend. Don't tell daddy that mommy hangs out with her friend this much. It was that
but
kind of deal.
I guess, but if like as a child she clearly liked attention so much, you think she would cry out and be like,
Well, I think
draw
that didn't
attention to
develop
the
until the
situation.
end because we obviously little Ava
They
had
tied
that
it.
thing like about the press, and it's like, so this is where it started.
yeah, but she
maybe
liked
the
it.
mother
Oh, yeah.
liked attention too. That's why she dropped her daughter off to watch.
What?
I'm joking. That was a joke.
Wait, what you see? I was about to say, like, what show were you watching?
No, she dropped the daughter off in the park.
Well,
Like,
so
come on.
every time Eva was at the park, she was seeing this blue truck drive by.
With the white camper.
With
Yep.
the white
Yeah.
camper, she had pretty much she had like a whole ID for this man that she never revealed to anyone. She never even communicated it to her mother that she was seeing this truck every single time.
Now that does feel like a child thing to say. It's like, oh yeah, that truck does just happen to go by every time you're at the accountant. Because
Yeah.
if it's something like mom tells you not to talk about it, well, that's information that also just would never come up.
Yeah,
That's true.
It is true. I mean, I could see probably since you're like an immature you have an immature mindset, you probably wouldn't draw the conclusion that it was kind of bizarre that this car was always there and like watching her,
Right.
So she keeps all this information to herself, and then in the present time, she's speaking with Raimi, and she finally reveals all of this, which she did. I feel like maybe if you put this in your book, people would have read it. You know what I'm saying?
Bam.
Like this is like really like key information that you probably could have included that would have caught some interest.
Exactly.
But it goes back to the dad though. The dad
guess,
still was
but
just.
It's
I mean, I
20
know
years.
that doesn't make sense.
He
but
has
still.
a new wife, like.
yeah, let it go, bro.
But you know something? I bet maybe
relax.
if she revealed like the whole affair scenario, the dad would become.
Well, now she's got a
could
story to
become
write
a
the second
suspect.
book. Now she's got something for
Or
real.
the fact that the affair would technically give her mom a bad reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Didn't want to
another
sully
good
her
point.
name.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because at the end of the day, the mom did die at the hands of Nightingale, which is brutal.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think she deserved it because of the affair?
Of course not.
I'm joking.
I was like, Chris.
Like,
I was like, is this a loaded
with
question?
you?
Is this a
I
trick
want to see if I
question?
could shake things up here a little bit. But no, here's one thing that I thought was really cool. That was a joke. What was really cool was how they put the composite together and all that
Right.
from the past to the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was
yeah.
cool.
That was neat. How they did the whole face and the composite
Just
and the
great
truck.
cinematography.
crazy. Because my first thought was when she had like the drawing of the guy, I was like, oh, just send him a picture. And then it's like,
How do you send it to the
Yeah.
future?
Yeah, and then I was thinking, I was like, how is he ever gonna see
Because it only
this?
works one way, him to her. She
Yeah.
can't send back.
That's pretty crazy.
Right.
But I did love that part. They like stored it under there, and then years later there's all these cobwebs and she just pulls it right out.
And I actually thought, like, do they know exactly where they got the original sketch? And it's like, what if somehow she's responsible for giving him the original Nightingale sketch?
Now.
And I thought it's like,
Mind-blowing.
oh, that
Like
would
now-
have been clever.
Yeah.
But that's where this show gets so confusing because you could keep going like around and around and around with it. You know what I'm saying?
Because there's so
I
many
was
different shifts where things happen, and it's like sometimes the differences are minute.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just the smallest little thing, and it's like, well, wait, if that happened, then did it happen because of this?
Right.
And there's
Did it happen because of that?
And there's something to acknowledge too, is like, and a lot of our fans, thank you for commenting, brought it up that, okay, when Raimi killed Goff in episode 2, or 3, what ends up happening is that, okay, Goff was never there in the present for Raimi to fight, but she's still cut up and beat up, and it's like, okay, well, by the rules, wouldn't that have never have happened?
Yeah.
So shouldn't Raimi be like in perfect condition?
Why didn't her face go better? Yeah, that was
So
one
it's like, so they
consistency.
kind of are flexible with the rules when it comes to Raimi, and I think that's something that can be a little confusing when they have those minute details like
Right.
Kelly's talking about.
What was cool though in this episode was they how they were reacting to things that were happening. So the father has they make friends on the playground, and she says, "I don't know if you remember, but we were friends." So it's just like this ripple effect, and
Like
it just happens.
it's like
Yeah.
she gets deja vu in front of our eyes when we see
Yeah,
that
that's
scene.
interesting.
Well, we saw that with the whole meeting, the introduction of Kyle.
Yeah.
You know, where he's talking and he's like, you don't have to be weird. Like, you know, like, it is what
then
it
it's
is.
like,
You didn't
oh,
call me
yeah.
back. And then she's like, what is he talking about? And next thing you know, you see, you know, all these hot and steamy flashes
Yes.
of him getting
It was
busy.
an orgy of evidence.
Hey!
That was well
Hey,
done.
that was not bad.
That was good. That was good.
That was kind of good, but moving on.
That was Olivia approved. Olivia approved.
Olivia approved.
So now that present day, Raimi got this information out of Eva, like this blue truck, that he always wears sunglasses, he has a short haircut. This is helpful to her father in the past because now he's able to speak to Raimi's mother about it.
Yes.
And I don't know about you guys, but I was yelling at the TV. I was getting so frustrated at the situation because she was just acting, Julie, yeah?
Dumb.
She was
Yes.
acting
Goodness
so
gracious.
irrational.
Thank you.
So irrational.
Thank you. You are literally, we are on the same page
I know.
tonight.
Well, because typically I'm all about girl power, you know, but like, girl,
Like,
You know,
quit tripping.
Get some power.
Quit tripping, boo.
I would say,
Stop it.
I gotta say like this is like, you know, because we know Raimi's attachment, but when she keeps being just irrational about it, it's like, lady, we don't want you to die, but
Yeah,
just,
but
like,
pretty soon you're
right.
gonna change our
Like,
mind.
you're fighting everything he is trying to do to keep you alive, and then at the same time, like, she's not taking herself out of it to take a step back and say, okay, I don't understand everything he's doing, but obviously he doesn't have any bad intentions.
Right.
Like, she's not seeing that, and we obviously, as the viewers, we get to see that. So it's very frustrating because all he's trying to do is protect her and anybody else that may be a future victim of the Nightingale, or a
the thing-
potential victim.
Well, the thing about that is like when you think about it, it's like, okay, we see the conviction, like where he goes after the truck and all that, but it's like, what is it gonna take for her to really listen? Like, or is it a lost cause? Which I don't think it is. So what's gonna change?
See, I think all he had to say was, we've got a profile. We realize he stalks his victims. He's stalking you. Yes, you're in trouble.
but that's too easy.
Oh, okay.
Right. That would
You
have made
can't
sense.
say that. This is television.
Hello.
Yes. And
But
they sell it as like, well, how do you honestly know Frank? And it's like, because my daughter from the future is
Yeah,
telling me in the box.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
but he
You know,
could
the
just,
one
she
that
still
didn't,
thinks he's a
the,
little-
hey, the
Yes.
one that didn't talk when, you know, you were in the
Yes.
garage.
Right,
So,
exactly.
He's
So-
in a lose-lose on that one.
I could see why she wasn't like believing him before, because he did, the way he was presenting it obviously did seem kind of crazy. He tried to get her to speak to a radio. Like, I would think that was crazy too.
Yeah.
But now he has like concrete evidence, and he could, like, it's all right there laid out for her, and I don't understand why she's not believing it.
Once you discredit yourself, it's hard to believe the next thing and the
That's
next thing.
very
Right.
true.
Not only
Yes.
that, but at the same time, I don't feel like I feel like he's still withholding evidence from her. He's withholding information, actually, from from her, because he's trying to protect her. But at the same time, sometimes you can't just say, hey, don't go over there because you might fall down. No, you say, look, if you go over there, you're going to fall in this pothole, and I don't know if I can get you up, and you're probably going to break your legs, so don't go over there.
And there's a
this
guy
is
with a
why.
knife
Exactly.
waiting for you once
At
you've
the
broken
bottom,
your legs.
once you, right, and he's going to cut you up. So I feel like there's a time where it's just like, you know what? Cut the bull. look, don't do this.
Exactly.
Don't go in that room. Don't wear those heels in the forest because you're going to fall. Like, come on, man.
He feels very passionate about this.
She said, like, am I in danger? And he was like, yes. And you think it's like, what?
No, go ahead. I was going to say, you think that's the wake-up call.
Yeah, you
when
think it would be.
When she's going to have that revelation like, oh, wow.
Shit, I'm in trouble.
She's being so stupid because if I was in her shoes, that's my life at risk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I might die. I might be killed. And it's very obvious that this man is killing nurses. I'm a nurse. My husband who is literally out chasing him is telling me that he's
But
after
that's the problem.
me.
Right.
But it's
You
not
pulled your
enough.
gun out, Frank.
And she's
Like, what were you doing, Frank?
Yeah, and it's like,
are
girl,
you...
the truck, it was driving away. Why was it driving away if it wasn't guilty?
Right,
You know what
exactly.
it is? I feel like
You
they're trying
pulled
to.
your gun out, Frank. Like,
I feel
shut
like
up.
they're trying to push us that like her trust is just completely
Right.
gone because he was gone for those 2 years in the pilot, and it's like it's just not
But
enough.
she
I don't believe
acted
it.
like he was away for those 2 years, like
Living with another woman,
Yeah,
with a
like
separate, with
crazy.
another family or
Family.
something. Like, he's doing his job, and you knew what he did when
you
y'all
know he's
got
a cop.
together.
You know he's
So
undercover.
why
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
so mad?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Why are you mad?
You know
Why
what?
you mad, bro?
So there's Darwinism, and so the only the fittest survive. She's not proving herself to be very fit right now
No,
at this moment.
not at all.
But especially after he tells her she's in danger, she's like, look, I'm never alone. I carpool. It's like, oh, you carpool.
Hey.
You and the nurses carpool. You're definitely safe now.
It's like, oh yeah, that's gonna
That
keep
he's
you away.
after, like, if
Nurses,
anything,
that's
like,
money right there. That's money in the bank. A car full of nurses in a Prius?
Wouldn't you
Let's
think
go.
if the Nightingale Killer was killing nurses and you were a nurse, wouldn't you be scared as shit?
I get a new job.
I think you
I'd
need
be
to
like-
tell them, move to a different city and leave here
I'd be
right
like,
now
I
and
want to
save
go
everybody's
work
life.
at a bakery. Shoot,
Yeah.
I don't want this no more.
I know. It's so, I just think
Well,
she's
it's just
acting
the
so
fact that she
irrational.
just takes everything he's trying to tell her with a grain of salt, like it's nothing. And clearly it's something. And then there's points where she will acknowledge, like, I know he's after nurses and I'm one of them. But then she'll go back and still continue to argue and fight with Frank because you pull a gun out, Frank. I'm sorry. I thought I might be able to stop the guy that's probably killing all the nurses. The thing that you do every day for your job.
And she doesn't even take the gun to protect herself.
Yeah, she's just being so, I don't know, whatever. We'll have to see how this one plays out. But we forgot to mention what sparked this whole entire conversation was once he heard about how Eva identified the blue truck with the white, what is it called?
Camper.
The white camper
yeah.
on the back.
Yeah.
We got an instant flashback of that car driving like right past Julie, or literally watching Julie.
Yeah, Frank
so,
has seen it.
before Frank presented her with this conversation, he did his research first and followed her to the park and just to peep the situation, and he saw the truck. And I thought, well, I didn't think that he was going to catch him because then the show would be over. But I was so mad. I was
We
so
were
mad
all
at the
mad.
way he approached
I was waiting for
this.
him to take some shots personally.
Although I'll say this, you're technically not. He did everything by the book because he's technically not,
Yes, he did.
as a police officer in a public area where there's pedestrians.
Kids.
He's not supposed, exactly, especially kids. He's not supposed to just immediately reach for his gun, pull it out, and just start firing shots.
Right.
Although it's a TV show. So I'm gonna need you to kick it into gear. I'm gonna need you to bust out your gun and start popping shots before he can even get away.
Right.
Back then they didn't have Rambo and they didn't have those things. Maybe they had Dirty Harry.
Okay, Terminator. I was gonna say
It's only
Terminator's old
1996.
enough. They still do that.
No, but I think he should have been cool. Just walk down like he was in, and
Yes.
then pull the gun at a point where you have
Right,
the
he could
guy.
have just been walking
Yeah.
like he was just walking
He
down the
revealed
street,
himself.
and then just as soon as he got up, bam.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, get out of the car.
Something.
Yeah.
Sneak attack.
exactly.
Sneak attack.
I will say there's
Sneak attack.
something that
That's
I
how
think.
she would have done it.
Yeah, I'm
Better
kind of
believe.
intimidated sitting next to her.
Or she either just start popping tires. Like, okay, where you going now? We gotta talk.
I would have
Yeah.
at least come up to him from behind, he's running up. Not only is he visibly approaching
Right.
him, he pulls out his badge and he
At
tells
a
him,
distance where the guy can
Like
Right,
three
where he
cars
can get
away.
out. Right.
Yeah.
He
Run you over.
essentially allowed him to have a head
Yeah.
start. He gave, hey, I'm a cop, so if you want to run, go ahead and get started.
I'm really
Head
far
start.
away. Now's your chance.
I actually thought we were gonna have maybe a chase scene with the truck,
Right.
maybe because when he sees him, it's like, okay, well, he's gonna pull out the car and we're gonna see that, but it didn't happen. I was disappointed.
Well, I felt like he just, again, I know we're coming down on Frank really heavy right now, but I felt like he should have been a little bit more. He should have channeled his inner gangster, and he should have chased. I felt like the guy didn't pick up enough speed right away after he had did that whole, 3-point
Like that
turn.
three-point turn.
Right.
There was
he
not a shot fired.
He could have
Ooh.
just started chasing it, bow, popped out the
Got
window
super
and hit a
close.
tire shot.
he gave up too easy.
Thank
Now,
you.
I will say this though.
and he didn't get the
something-
plate either.
Something, well, they did because
Well,
she
it
ended up
doesn't
with
matter.
it. But something
Oh.
important to note is when we talk about Raimi going after adult Goff, very impulsive, very just like emotion. She's not thinking it through.
Like
and
father, like daughter, or
exactly.
daughter
And I
like
thought
father.
maybe that's something we're supposed to see. That like, okay, they got to change their ways if they're going to accomplish this mission on both sides. And I think maybe that's what we were supposed to see and be frustrated with Frank, like we're frustrated with Raimi for making mistakes. I
Well,
think.
that-
Irrational in their approach.
Right,
Yes.
and not only that, but that would actually be a good theme, and that would make sense considering they had such a learning curve that they had to get over when it came to the whole difference in time and being more mindful of things that they would do that would have a ripple effect in the future and or the past.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay,
I know, right? Hey, that's a
And
lot
that
we
thought
went
is
through.
complete. Do you need a drink of water?
Yeah.
But this huge piece of like evidence, well, not even evidence, this huge indicator that I don't even know how am I trying to word this?
Like, that's how
what
you
is
do-
the truck to the Nightingale killer?
That's his mode of transit. That's essentially his location.
his
like every
location,
time
but
you
his
car.
like identifier.
Yeah.
right, yeah.
It's
The way to catch him.
It's the only thing that we can tie directly to him to
Right.
identify
That-
him.
exactly.
And now that Frank messed up and acted impulsively, that only thing that we were relying on, we see in the last scene of the
Goes up
show,
in
is
flames.
now gone.
How's that make you feel?
disappeared. Ugh, frustrated, man. I'm really frustrated.
We gotta send you to Ava's therapist when she's done talking
Yeah,
to her.
right? And it's like, now what are we gonna do? You know how
And
many
you-
guys wear hoods and sunglasses?
Hello, that was what I wore to work today.
It's like, wait,
I
Kelly,
mean,
what
hello,
you
like,
say?
at least twice a week,
So
especially on casual Fridays.
And you know they're gonna pull that trick out where it's like, oh, the car was stolen or the truck was stolen, and the guy couldn't have been the Nightingale. It belongs to like some
Yeah.
grandma, and it's like, we
Didn't
can't get
matter.
that
Back to
either.
square
Right.
one.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, so
I love these how we complete our. Yep.
Yeah.
we all just come to an
We're in
agreement.
sync.
So now the truck is gone, and I kind of like how they wrapped up this episode. It was cute because we saw Raimi and Frank bonding together, and Frank, since Julie's not gonna listen to him, he found a way to finesse a weapon into the
Get a knife.
household anyway, and he was bonding with Raimi, and they were carving out a car, and he just casually gives her a knife for safekeeping.
When I saw that, I really thought that little Raimi was accidentally gonna cut herself,
Me
and he was
too.
gonna interrupt whatever adult Raimi was doing with Kyle, and it's like, something like that. That's what I thought.
She loses
Like that
her
ruins the
fingers.
moment.
I just cut
Not
my
like
finger
cut it
and I'm
off, but
bleeding
just
all
like
over your
suddenly,
face.
like she sees a scar, and it's like that ruined the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I didn't think that, but I thought. Really? No, yeah. But it's cool how they're building a better relationship, both in the future and in the past.
Yeah, I do
So
like
that-
I
that.
actually, because it
Yeah.
was so cute, because they were talking about her relationships, and he was like, that's got to be hard on you. She was like confiding in him over Daniel.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you
that
think
was
about
nice.
her neighbor? I don't know if I like that
That's
guy.
Gordo?
the best
Yeah,
friend.
Gordo.
You know,
Yeah, her
okay.
best friend.
Well, I would
Gordo's-
save that for
Gordo's
predictions,
cool.
but I have a theory about what's going on.
You think he's Nightingale?
No. I had a fan disprove why that can't happen with him or
Oh,
Daniel.
wait, tell us.
Okay, well, the fans brought it up. It's like in 1996, how old are Gordo and
Oh,
Daniel?
yeah.
They're about the same age as
yeah,
Raimi.
yeah.
So it's
Oh,
not
I
little
did
kids
see
being
that
Nightingale.
comment.
So it's like, okay,
Right.
I just thought that, like, wait, just because it makes sense in the present doesn't make sense in the past.
Right.
Now, could something change and, like, let's say there's two Nightingales. There's the original one, but somehow the one causing trouble in the
Copycat.
past,
Copycat,
and somehow Raimi or Frank, through their actions, have created a new Nightingale out of these characters that we have. That isn't out of the question if they're trying to just throw us with a curveball. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And they very well could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Imagine.
the actual Nightingale can't be them because they're little kids right now.
Okay,
the
but you said you have a
96.
theory about what's going on with Gordo.
Wait, so
Somehow, well, go ahead.
do you want to like bring it into predictions and then we can introduce
Only if
your
you
theory?
didn't have,
And now,
goodness.
your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Perfect timing. Okay, hit us with the theory.
We obviously what's going on with adult Raimi and adult Gordo, and he seemed like he was much more composed in the pilot, yet he's been falling apart as they go along through
Yeah.
the series. So if he's not original Nightingale, what if he does, however, have some kind of resentment toward Raimi, and it's something that she's doing in the present to continue, and something Frank does in the past? Because we haven't seen Kid Gordo, and you think that should come into play considering how close he's been to Raimi, quote unquote, their whole lives.
So
I feel
you
like
think...
I think that somehow that Frank and Raimi are gonna turn Gordo, not the original Nightingale, but he's gonna be some kind of adversary, inadvertently from their actions.
So Gordo becomes
rolling.
Psycho.
Not
Probably.
rolling.
Gordo
Yeah.
has babies.
Gordo?
Yeah, Gordo has a baby.
And he's, like avoiding his wife to go to his neighbor and make
Okay,
dinner
but that
cats
happens
for
every
her.
day, and those guys aren't going out killing nurses. So
Not to shut down your theory.
Okay.
I
yeah,
think
no,
it's
no,
a very
no,
good
great
no,
theory.
that's a
theory.
great theory.
But Chaos J is not rolling.
Okay, all right. But here's the thing: something's got to happen with him because he's too
Yeah.
basic right now as he is. So he's got to be set up for something bigger through their actions.
I definitely agree. There's some things in store for Gordo. I just have seriously no idea what that could possibly be.
None. I just don't think it's gonna be that.
Well, we talked about it last week too. Like Nightingale is so faceless right now. That's like
Right,
I
it-
kind of want a
We could
little
get
more
a twist.
to get it.
We could
more
get a twist,
interesting.
but it's not gonna be Gordo.
I know. I'm not.
Wait,
But
so
things
what's
could
your
change.
prediction?
Gordo's
Yeah.
wife could get killed and he could never have a baby, and then maybe he might turn into a
true.
copycat or something.
True.
He's a
It's
little
possible.
weird.
Come on, Chaos. We've been waiting all night.
Chaos
but
theory.
I honestly, hey,
I like it.
that's money. I might have to use
That
that.
would be a good name for a show for you.
Hey, man.
Oh,
So welcome to the
Hey,
Chaos
boom.
Theory.
yeah, welcome to
Drum
Chaos
roll.
Theory. I
So,
like that.
I do. Thank you. Honestly, I don't really necessarily have any predictions. Because I don't know at this point. Like, I know that I can say that it's not going to be Gordo. His wife and the baby are safe. I'm confident with that aspect. I definitely feel like we're going to see a few more twists and turns. I don't think that they're introducing all these different characters just to introduce them. I feel like they're going to come back
Down the
to
line for
include Ava. They're all going to come back, but when and how, I don't know.
That's me.
That's you.
That's
It's like,
me.
I
was
look,
like,
it's
what
like,
the heck is that
It's not my
again?
phone.
How's that happen if the ringer's off?
I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
You just hit the button, hit the
This
home button.
button. Oh,
Bam,
son
there
of
you
a
go.
gun.
Wow.
That was weird. Okay, so it was me.
It's all good. Do you have any predictions?
My prediction is that there'll be a second season.
Oh, that's a great one.
Great prediction.
Yeah, I think there will be. I think it's a great show.
No, I think
it's a
there'll be
fantastic
a
show.
second
I was gonna say,
season as well.
me and Chaos were talking about it last week, and I think this is a good question for the whole panel. Do you guys feel like we've already met Nightingale, or do you think he's gonna be someone just completely new,
You know,
just setting it up for a big surprise at the end?
I think we could have possibly. This isn't a random person. Like, this is going to be someone that's tied into everybody's
Right.
storylines.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna. I feel like it could possibly be somebody that we're going to meet. We may not have met them yet.
Okay.
But it's going to be someone that we met.
Could be the past fiance. Could have been.
Well,
Yeah,
and
Daniel
what about
somehow.
the dirty cop that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened to him.
Moreno or whatever.
Well,
his
we
name
Yes.
is.
see in the previews,
Right.
we see that they're going to bring him back next episode.
Next
With a
week, they
funky
gotta get
mustache.
closer.
With
Or
a
it could
nice
be
Got
ass
his Tom Selleck mustache.
Could be that the Nightingale works for Moreno
Yeah.
or something like that.
I see Moreno playing a part in this
Oh,
situation.
definitely, all day.
Yes.
But I definitely think they're going to give us a few more twists and turns because that's what Frequency does.
Exactly. This episode was a little bit rare though because they didn't really change much in the past. I mean, they did, but they didn't. They didn't like
They
cause
didn't alter
any.
the course.
Yeah.
You know, they
Honestly,
just got rid of one
right.
option as far as the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, these changes kind of worked in their favor more so than the changes had in the past.
Well, yeah, they got it
that,
firing on
yes.
all cylinders this time.
Yep. I don't know, any final thoughts before you guys want to wrap it up?
No, I really like the episode. I think it's, I get into it. I'm waiting for each next episode,
Exactly.
so that's cool.
Me too.
Getting better.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your comments. By the way, we definitely appreciate it, and we take all your predictions into thought when we discuss the episode. So please keep that up. Once again, I'm your lead host, Olivia Gabaree. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @the_real_o_g.
What's up, Real OG? I'm Gabriel Gonzalez. You can find me at Double G on TV.
And you can find me on Twitter, KaosJ, KAAOSJ.
And at Chris Howard Live on both Twitter and Instagram. Reach out.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.